things are getting down to the nitty-gritty from Microsoft, and it looks like they're taking it to Sony in an unexpected way. Now, this came as a little bit of a shock today when we heard this actual news, and you know what, this actually shouldn't be that much of a shock, because we know that Microsoft was going back and forth with Sony, and that it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. But there's always those people that are like, oh, I'm really surprised by this news, you know. For me personally, it does not really come as a surprise at all, and I think that what Microsoft and Sony are trying to do here is, you know, just realistically, what Microsoft wants to do is be competitive here, and what Sony wants to do is whatever they want, but they don't want Microsoft to be able to do the same. And I've kind of gone over that ad nauseum, but I do want to get into this bit of good news, because we're finally starting to get back into the good news for Microsoft and Xbox after having a little bit of negative news. Let's just be real. Microsoft has a way of shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I do hope that we see some impressive stuff in the future, and I'm excited to see what Microsoft has. Let's just be real. It's going to be fun to see how Microsoft kind of handles things, and how they kind of go out there and make everything their own here. So let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Crap Gamer here with Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you for checking it out. Please leave a like on the video. I'm looking to get 100 likes on each of the videos that I do. It's a very small goal, but a goal that I am looking for nonetheless, which would be awesome if you guys could do that and help me out. Now, with that being said, I definitely wanted to get into that because this was interesting when I saw it, right? So Microsoft is actually subpoenaing, they've subpoenaed PlayStation for its defense against the FTC lawsuit. Xbox wants Sony to divulge details of PlayStation's game production pipeline, which, to be honest with you, this news could shut Sony up totally, because they maybe wouldn't be willing to share what they have in the pipeline, as Sony has gone on and tried to play this whole, we're the victims, we can't do this, blah blah blah, but when it comes out to it and you see that, hey, they're not exactly victims, yeah, then at that point I feel like we're starting to see some very interesting things come about, and maybe some comeuppance. According to a court filing, the Xbox maker wants Sony to divulge details of PlayStation's game production pipeline. The information, which Microsoft believes is relevant to its case, may include confidential details that Sony would be reluctant to share with its rival if possible. Now, negotiations between Sony and Microsoft to the scope of Sony's production and discovery schedule are ongoing, according to the filing. Following a week-long extension, Sony has until January 27th to move to limit, quash, or otherwise respond to the subpoena. Now, in December, the FTC announced plans to sue Microsoft in a bid to stop its $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which the regulator argues would enable the company to suppress competition. Which, as if that could ever happen, you know, Sony has their own things going on. It's kind of silly to think that Microsoft, no matter what, and they've already said they're going to keep Call of Duty, you know, multi-plat. So the fact that people would think that, you know, even if they were to make Call of Duty exclusive, I don't think it really hurts PlayStation in the least. Now, what's very interesting about this, among other concerns, the FTC said they have expressed worries that the deal could significantly reduce PlayStation's ability to compete, which is asinine, given that it would see Microsoft gain ownership of Call of Duty. In their responses to the FTC complaint, Microsoft and Activision have argued that their merger would be pro-competitive and benefit consumers by making the Call of Duty publishers' games more broadly available. Now, in a bid to address regulatory concerns, Microsoft recently said it had offered Sony a 10-year legally enforceable contract to make each new Call of Duty game available on PlayStation the same day it comes to Xbox, and the FTC said earlier in the month that it has been no substantive settlement talks with Microsoft over the proposed Activision acquisition, but if it goes to trial, the case will be judged during a hearing set to take place in August of this year, which, you know, anything can happen. I don't think we're to the point yet where that's going to happen. I fully think that the FTC definitely doesn't want to take this to court, because they don't really have any kind of legal leg to stand on, which, you know, just sort of is what it is at this point. And you kind of look at things and you go, oh, well, what can Sony do long term? They're basically just trying to stall this out, and I don't think it's going to work out for them the way that they actually believe it will. But nice to see Microsoft getting a little tricky here, because of course Sony is almost 100% not likely wanting to share their details of, you know, what they have in the pipeline. Could you imagine, you know, showing, you know, here's what we have coming to PlayStation exclusively over the next 10 years, basically showcasing that, hey, guess what, like, exclusive content does matter. And, you know, again, this is a huge reason why staying competitive and things like that is what they need to do. Plus, we would see that they would likely have a lot of games as a service games, which, again, they sit there and call, you know, Call of Duty irreplaceable, but then they have, what, like 8 games as a service games in the pipeline already, including one from Naughty Dogs, but they, again, want to claim that, hey, we won't be able to compete if this happens or that happens. So, yeah, we keep seeing stuff like that come up, and Microsoft kind of slams the door in their face. I think Microsoft has been very shrewd and kept a very positive outlook on this stuff, but at the same time, you know, Sony is going to continue to be Sony, and to me, what that means is they're going to continue to play the victim and continue to pretend like, you know, they're the only ones that should have any kind of rights to be competitive. And the minute that, you know, Microsoft wants to be competitive, oh, nope, can't do that, which is really unfortunate, because I feel like we would have so much better competition if, you know, all the old Call of Duties and all the new ones in Game Pass, and, you know, people will be able to choose what they want, you know, like, and I think that's going to be like kind of the future there. You know, I think that would be awesome, and I can't wait to see what Microsoft does in the future with this, because it sounds like they've got a lot of really big plans, and I'm excited for that prospect. So anyway, you know, like I said, I'm very curious always what you guys think about this stuff, because, again, you know, I know some of you are probably tired of hearing about how, you know, Microsoft is doing this, or, you know, PlayStation is doing that, especially when it comes to you know, this news, but I still think it's very relevant that we continue to see Microsoft and Sony be competitive against each other, and I don't think that Sony in particular has been very fair to what Microsoft has been doing. So I do hope that we see, you know, that competition there. You know, more than anything, I think the competition in gaming needs to kind of be there, and that, you know, Sony needs to be able to kind of get over themselves a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think that it's going to be super interesting to see how long Microsoft and Sony can kind of keep this little thing going on, but also it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when this does pass and goes through. You know, like, I think Sony is going to continue to play the victim and the woe is me card, but honestly, Sony is just think about what they came in and they've done multiple times since they've been in the gaming industry. You know, it's crazy to think that they've been able to kind of slap down so many different competitors and things like that, including Sega, and now they want to play, oh, well, we won't be able to compete. Just seems so redundant to me. But let me know what you guys think. I would really appreciate it. Like the video. Like I said, I would appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't. Rack them up, fact them up, and as always, Crap Gamer them up. And I hope you guys all have a great day. Crap Gamer out.